Hey everyone, and welcome to Dreamchasers, the interview series for people who want human marketing on a zero budget. I am your host, Dominic D'Souza. Listen in for tips and insights for about 15 minutes a week. It's the dreamers who make the future. Chase yours. So this week we are joined by Betty Dang, who is an executive love coach. She works with a lot of executives to help heal uh, things like the effects of toxic relationships or toxic environments on workplace culture and how that impacts your productivity and so on. Betty, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, Dominic. I'm really honored and grateful that you've invited me to come speak. I'm really excited to, answer your questions and hear a little bit more.
Well, I think it's going to be fun. I love the energy that and the happiness that you bring to everything, which is it's unique. So the topic that we're covering today is building a dream team. For most of the people listening to this show, they are coaches or consultants or speakers, and they are operating by themselves, and they're used to thinking that they have to do everything by themselves because it's their business,
Mhm.
as opposed to the idea of some sort of a loose, even partnership with other specialists or something. How are people? Um, and I'll use myself as an example here. I struggle with being a workaholic and things like delegating and outsourcing and so on. Can you share with us maybe, um, since this is something that you're now doing, what was life like before for you? What was your mindset like?
That's a really great question because I think there are a lot of workaholics out there that want to be able to delegate and to relieve some of the stress. I certainly remember when I was working, I was running I had my family, I had friends, I had um, a couple businesses along with my full-time accounting job. So talk about workaholic, definitely a workaholic. I was everybody's emergency contact, emergency number. Call Betty because she'll know the answer. And at sometimes you think, oh, it'll just take a few minutes. The answer will take a few minutes to answer. But until you track your time, you don't realize how much time you spend on each task.
Hmm.
So, being a workaholic, one of the first things is that you stop taking care of yourself because you're so busy taking care of each other, of everyone else. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't eat well. Sometimes I didn't eat on time because I would forget to eat. Um, and I gained a lot of weight because I wasn't taking care of my health.
Hmm.
I was probably around 180 pounds, but I was so busy working with everyone else, I didn't take care of myself.
Hmm.
So the first thing for a workaholic to do is recognize that they need to take care of themselves first, because if something happens, no one they won't be able to take care of other people. When I had my first body collapse, that's when I realized, I collapsed, I blacked out for a couple hours, and I realized my body was under too much stress. And that's when I started to take care of my health. And at that point, it's really too late because your body has already experienced a collapse. That means your
Hmm.
body is overtired. The toxins, like a toxic environment that you've been living in, has been building these toxic emotions in you as well. So emotions play in that. So it takes a little time to take care of yourself and trust yourself again first.
Hmm.
Once you learn to trust yourself, then you can trust other people because then you can feel safe to trust other people to do your work
Hmm.
for you. Does that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
explain
no,
what it
it's
means to be a
great. And
workaholic?
even if okay, so let's say you're not a workaholic then, but you're just used to doing everything yourself. What are some of the problems that come from thinking that way?
When you think that you have to do everything yourself, you can't grow, you can't increase your income, right? The point of increasing your income is to increase your dollars per hour that you're making. And in order to increase your dollars per hour, you have to create more time for yourself because we have a limited number of hours that we can work in a day.
Hmm.
When you're an entrepreneur, when you're working, you want to say you have 40 hours, but it might not be that. Like your maximum hours that you might be able to work a day, like effectively, could be 20 to 30 hours instead of the full 40 hours or 80 hours that people do, right? Once you define that, define what can you do most effective? What are you most good at to do during those 20 hours so
Hmm.
that you can delegate and get somewhere else, right? That's how you can increase your income once you understand what skill set you have.
Hmm.
Am I
Yeah,
being
no, it's
all
great. And again, if increasing your income is not just um, chasing the golden hamster wheel, it's about giving yourself more time. I
right?
mean, more income is what buys you the freedom to be able to spend more time either doing the things you love or being able to pick the projects that matter most to you, creating the lifestyle that means something to you.
Exactly. It's true. For example, I can give you an example of what I've had to do the last 6 months. I've been creating a sales team and hiring a sales team, and it's taken me 6 months to find the right people to manage my sales team and to hire the right sales people, right? I've looked at over 100 people in the process.
Okay.
And now I've picked out my candidates and now I can bring them into interview.
Hmm.
It's not easy to find people that will do things exactly the same way you are.
Hmm.
You have to know what you do in your process in order to hire people in to replicate that. The fact that I've hired in more people, now I don't have to spend as much time engaging on social media as I did before because now I have people representing my brand, my my vision, doing the same thing. And
Hmm.
when they find great connections, they come back and tell me, and
Hmm.
I help them build those connections.
That's
And we are
that's
working
great.
as a team.
Hmm.
Now I can focus, right? Maybe engagement, I was calculating for myself to pay. And then the most important thing is to pay yourself, right? How much do you pay yourself when you're for that time that you're engaging? A lot of people don't realize that's work time. It's work time as well. This is
Hmm.
something new. Like networking is part of your work. That's how you grow. And once you start to network with people, you'll start to realize there are other people that can do the same thing that you can.
I'd like to come
That's
back and
different.
dig into this a little bit more, like how you did it, because I think it's such an important message. It's something I'm working through right now myself, the desire to build like a dream team. And that's kind of the point of this whole podcast is it's it's just going through my questions that I have that I know other people are having as well.
Yes.
I'd like to just take a couple of minutes and ask you a little bit more about your story. It's a pretty dramatic one uh, from what I remember. You have a Vietnamese background, and your whole life you've been all about bridging communities, even language barriers, and that's really set you up for well, the career path that you're on now. So, can you share some of that with us?
Thanks. Yes, with my background, it is I am Vietnamese. I'm born and raised in Hartford, Connecticut. My parents are refugees. They came after the war, and we had limited resources as refugees. We are grateful that the government took us in and has given us the opportunity to live here in America, to grow, to work, and um, to be where I am today. We didn't have a lot of English people to translate for the community. So a lot of times, when mothers had questions about their children and their development and their school, and since I nannied for a lot of the kids, um, I attended a lot of schools.
Hmm.
I've attended a lot of doctor's appointments and understanding what their pain points are very clearly because I'm the one listening in and translating and also giving them advice at the same time, which is a lot different because when you get a translator through the court or through the medical system, they're not there to help you understand your health. They're not there to understand your rights. So they're just there to translate, and sometimes can't even translate. So I made it kind of my thing, my responsibility. You, without a strong community, my children are not going to be able to learn Vietnamese.
So you were all about, or you've been all about, uh, so bridging people together, but just doing a ton of networking. You've become so comfortable with uh, working with a lot of different people with a lot of different needs and so on. And so that's taking that into building a business means from the get-go you're not thinking about it from the whole scarcity mindset of everything I'm making is for me. You're primed to be you know thinking of things from an abundance mindset. Am I
Yes.
right?
Yes. From abundance mindset, you're looking for solutions. You're not looking at the problem. You're looking at the future. What do you need in 5 years? What do you need in a year? And I've gone through a lot in my life as well with the stress, with the depression. Um, I lost my husband 10 years ago, my first husband. So it was really
I'm
hard for me
sorry.
to process those emotions.
Hmm.
And it's hard to build a business when you're grieving and you have all those emotions. But what I did was I found a coach that helps me build my confidence back up to where I am.
Hmm.
I had someone to bounce my ideas off of, to ask questions. I've experienced everything that every entrepreneur has. I've experienced hard prospects. I've experienced objections. I've experienced people who are disrespectful and don't value you. And
Hmm.
how do you handle that so that you don't take that on to carry it forward for the next week so that you can start, fresh and start to learn? Like there will be people that will disappoint you. How do you
Hmm.
get through that so that you can trust the next person who is ready to show you that they have a lot to give?
Hmm.
Um, and the key is to treat every person individually. Each person has their own background, their own mindset, and their own experiences. And until you learn about their lifestyle, their background, where they come from, you don't, you can't see the whole picture. Because in a 5 minute, 10 minute conversation, you're not going to be able to get to know that person that well.
Hmm.
Even in a job interview where we come in to interview, they don't ask about our family values, our lifestyle values. And this is where I find that I have the freedom to do because I'm not obligated to those type of laws
Hmm.
when I am hiring in for network marketing or for my business because we come in as partners and not as employees.
Hmm.
Being able to give that to people is amazing because it gives them a chance to see where their value is. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter if you haven't gone to college. You have been taking care of your family, you've taken care of other kids, or you've taken care of your community. Those skills are transferable to your business.
Hmm.
So I help people identify the skills that they have that's transferable.
Hmm.
And then I look at their work ethic and how they treat their family and they treat themselves because that's how they're going to carry into their business. That's how they're going to treat other people that they meet as well. Their integrity is there. I look for integrity.
Wow, that's phenomenal. I mean, nobody ever talks about that. We always talk about, well, work-life balance, as though they're like two different worlds, but you're the same person living in both, and how you treat people in one will affect,
Mhm.
how you want to or how you do treat them in others. Do you have a process maybe for identifying or finding and then sort of vetting somebody who matches your culture, maybe your vision? Is it as simple as just a series of calls over time and building a friendship?
It is. It is as simple as building a friendship, but it's also knowing what you want.
Hmm.
Before I started this, I sat down and I created a plan. I wrote down my business plan, I wrote down my vision, and I wanted to see where I was going in 5 years from now.
Hmm.
And then one of the most important questions I ask in the first meeting, especially when we're talking about, like when I first meet someone and I talk about, because this is from experience, I talk and I say, do you want to be a millionaire? And their response tells me if they're on board or not.
Hmm.
How, when they're saying, yes, of course, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want, this is the dream, this is someone I want to get to know because there's very few people that get excited when you say the word millionaire.
Hmm.
Most people get scared because they're in that scarcity mindset that you mentioned. They're not in the abundant mindset. For them, they think it's impossible to get there.
Hmm.
So once I get that excitement, and there's only a few people out of the, I've talked to 400 plus the 500 on Facebook. That's 900 people. That's 900 connections, friends that I've made, right?
Hmm.
But not including the people that I talked to and didn't connect to as well.
Hmm.
So that's a lot of people in a short amount of five months.
No kidding. Okay.
And getting to know them, hopping on a call with some of them. In the beginning, I did all that, but people who followed up didn't follow up as
Hmm.
fast. And I knew that. I knew that from years of business. So what it is that you write down a list of things that you want to achieve. And then what is it going to take to get there? And what can you do best? Right? I'm best at coaching.
Hmm.
I need people to help me with marketing and sales. So now I'm looking for people who want to do sales. So now I asked, like, I had an interview this week, and finally I asked him after several phone calls, I'm like, do you want to do sales? No, I don't want to do sales. Then I can consider you as an employee, but right now I don't have a position for you. Right? Being really clear that this is a sales position, that you have to invest into sales training, and
Mhm.
also creating a sales training that is going to support them to be successful. I watched other sales trainers uh, to their trainings, and I asked people who went to the trainings their feedback and see what value they got and see if they implemented those valuable things. And if someone needs their hand held the whole time, they're going to be hard to make those big decisions, right? They're not going to be able to sell a $50,000 package for me.
Mhm.
They're not going to even be able to understand what I'm able to do for someone in a $50,000 package.
Mhm.
So you need to find someone with that abundant mindset that's willing to say, I don't know how to sell a $50,000 package, but I want to learn,
Mhm.
right? I had a person who said, I don't know how to sell $1,000 package, but I want to learn. And I give fair commissions.
Mhm.
I've asked a lot of companies, and they give really the commission. I'm not sure what the thinking is when you give an 8.5 commission or a 12.5 commission on a $22 product. I really don't. On a $22 product, I would be giving 30 to 40% commission because there's not that much, right?
Mhm.
So I want to give them the bigger piece of the pie because they're going to have to do a little bit more work. And if they bring in more volume, I'm going to make more volume,
Mhm.
right? Um, Giving someone, a salesperson, 20% to start with, it gives them something to work with. So that's why I'm very selective. You're going to sell $1,000 package from me. If I'm giving you 20%, then you're going to be more willing to invest the time to learn how to sell that package. So out of all the years that I've worked at corporations, I've worked with small businesses and things, but the reason why they don't scale is because they don't share the profit.
Mhm.
When you share the profit, people will buy into your vision.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah.
I started my career, my first job as a waitress, and within 3 months, I trained 3 new people to become waitresses. They were Vietnamese. They didn't learn English as much, but in 3 months, they were making money.
Mhm.
And as a waitress in high school, making $100 to $150 a night is huge. It's a huge deal.
So applying that to your business today, then helping other people who are hungry to learn, giving them that income, or working with a specialist who can then
Right.
help you take more of yourself out of the grind
Yes,
so that you
out of
can
the
then
grind.
focus
You
more.
have to take yourself outside the business so that you can increase. When you're working inside the business, you're limited on your time.
Mhm.
When you work outside the business, now that I don't spend 4 hours a day engaging on LinkedIn and just an hour, I have 3 extra hours.
Mhm.
Those 3 hours now I'm filling with clients where I can charge 400 to 500 to 1500 to 2000 to $5,000 an hour, depending on what it is that I'm skill set at. That's
Mhm.
where I get the income.
Mhm.
But I had to spend 4 to 5 hours engaging every day on the internet for the last 6 months to find people that I could finally say, hey, would you like this opportunity? Because I think that we would be great to work together. And that's the long-term vision, right? If you're building to become a millionaire or a billionaire or whatever your workplace is, you need people to support. This is what Henry Ford did. Do you know Henry Ford?
Mhm. Yeah, founder of
So I
Ford Motor.
love Henry Ford because Henry Ford came up with the assembly line during
Mhm.
the Industrial Revolution. So with the assembly line, he had things set down the assembly line, and once the product get passed, things would put into place, and each person had a task. So they did everything repetitively over and over again.
Mhm.
Understanding that, you're going to understand your salespeople need that assembly line. They need the step by step so that they can learn it until they can do it on their own, and then they can teach someone else. They
Mhm.
need to do it 6 to 8 times, you know, before they do it. I get on calls with my salespeople to close. I want to get to know what what they're doing so that I can support them and help them deal with those objections.
Mhm.
I'll get on a call. They know that they can call me at any time, that if they're upset, if the customer upsets them, I'm here to listen.
Mhm.
You got to create that space back and forth so that people have the space to grow. And you got to congratulate them and make them encourage them that they're doing the right thing. So
Love
that's
it.
just a few of my tips. I hope that was helpful.
Definitely, definitely. What would be one place that you'd recommend? So for somebody, say like me, or maybe not a workaholic, or let's say recovering workaholic. Let's be fair, but who is interested in starting this or exploring this, what would be maybe one thing you'd recommend that they could start doing immediately?
Like starting their own business or their own.
If they're already in their own business and looking to
Mhm.
start building a team to help support them.
Okay. To build a team to support them, I would recommend going to the website Awake by 5 a.m. It's run by KJ Wong. He's a sales coach from Australia. So
Okay.
Awake by 5 a.m. is amazing. He has a very interesting story. KJ Wong has an interesting story about how he got into sales, what he's been able to do.
Hmm.
And the reason why I recommend him is because he's very active on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So he has a whole library of sales videos and training. And
Hmm.
he's very honest about the profession, very, very honest about what it takes to be a salesperson. And he does 1 minute videos on LinkedIn almost every day. And he
Wow.
comments. He is the best LinkedIn person I've seen so far, because people, when they get to the top, sometimes they don't reply to those comments.
Hmm.
But you can't build a brand if you don't let people know who you are. By replying to the comments, he knew exactly what he engages with people. The
Hmm.
first time I commented, he knew exactly what I was looking for, and he said, "Well, thanks for trying." He said something, "Thank you for commenting, and here's the sales library if you'd like to take a look at it." It was exactly why I was following him, because
Hmm.
I wanted to learn sales tips. And he points out things that most salespeople won't point out. He points out things when people are doing things wrong. Like, when until he made this post last month, I didn't realize that 90 to 95% of people never click on your profile to look at your profile. They just go off the bat of what you post on comments, which changed my strategy. Right? First, it upset me, and then I changed my strategy of how I was using LinkedIn. I looked at their profile, but I didn't bother to connect with them directly. I only connect with people who are commenting now, because if they're active in the comments, you can see exactly what kind of person they are.
Hmm.
You can see that, okay, one day they're posting about this, and the next day they're posting about this. And you could see that their train of thought is not consistent with what they want to say or what they say they are. You're looking for consistency, that this person is a coach, that this person is integrable, is saying the right things and nice things to other people. Yeah.
So then to summarize, that's such a great point. So to summarize then, uh, since you will have to be doing a lot of networking, um, ensure that what the kind of things that you're commenting match your
Right.
profile and who you are, so that, well, so that it's on brand and you're not
Yes.
mouthing off or just talking about all crazy weird or just things that are completely disconnected from
Right.
what your profile is trying to
Right.
sell or trying to say.
Right. Exactly. Like,
Ah,
one of the
yeah.
reasons why I thought you were great is because I saw your website and your branding. You're clear and concise. You use very good colors, which means you have a sense of emotional balance. Using certain colors tell me where the person's emotional balance is. So,
Thank you.
and you're consistent in your comments. You're nice and you give suggestions to people, and you have etiquette. So that means I know if I refer someone to you, you're going to treat you're going to treat them the same way I treat them.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Betty, how
Yeah.
can people get in touch with you?
It's very easy. You can just email me, connect with me on LinkedIn or Facebook. But on LinkedIn, it's Betty Dang, and by email, it's very easy. It's journey@bettydang.com, because when you work with me, it's always a journey.
Love it. I will put all of that in the show notes. And of course, the website is bettydang.com.
Yes.
Thank you for your time, Betty. And
Thank you,
everyone,
Dominic, for
have
having me.
a wonderful day.
You too. Have a wonderful day.